Okay, good morning. This marks the May 27, 2025 Transportation Authority of Calhoun County meeting. Madam Secretary, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 9:05. If you wouldn't mind, roll call, please.
Maya Williams, Tom Tarkowitz.
Here.
Eric Stewart.
Present.
Vivian Davis here. Janisha Morris.
Here.
Amy Evans.
Perfect. We'll move into item number 3, approval of the agenda.
I would like to move that we take 10D and put it between 13 and 14. We'll be going downstairs for that work session and we can adjourn from down there. I'd just like to make that change on the agenda.
So after next meeting?
Or before, either or. It doesn't make
Same.
Okay, I would agree with that then.
Number 13, yes, if you will. Okay, we'll go ahead and do that.
Support.
Huh?
For his motion.
Oh, he moved?
I move that
Oh,
with that
okay,
change.
all right. I'm sorry, I was, apparently I was drifted. There's been a motion supporting. Any other discussion? Any other changes? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign. Perfect. We'll go ahead and move into approval of the May 13th, 2025 minutes. Seek a motion for approval there.
So
Okay,
support.
it's been moved and supported. Any other discussion, changes, what have you? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Perfect. Any public comments on the agenda items? Okay, seeing none, moving to the consent agenda. Any consent agenda items? All right, moving right along. Hearing none. Review of finance budget report for May 13th and May 27th. In your absence, we just included those, Amy, as a matter of record. And so if you would enlighten us with our update, please.
Well, I'm not sure how enlightening it will be, but we are still receiving property tax payments. In late April, we received one from Battle Creek for delinquent personal property taxes. And then this month still, we're still in May, feels like June already, but we received a, they call it a settlement payment of delinquent real property taxes from Calhoun County. So we knew that those were coming, and they were for the 4 cities, or it's for the 4 cities who, where people haven't made their property tax payments. And so the county, I guess you could say, made us whole in that regard. What's interesting though, is now the amount is over. When you look at the other report, the one with a lot of numbers on it, towards the, I guess, lower left-ish, where it says income information. The total taxes paid to date are $4,744,194.72. The anticipated taxes for the budget were $4.5 million. And so now we've received $172,000 more than we were expecting with this payment from the county. They did say that, you know, if they make this payment and then we receive taxes from any of those jurisdictions that we're, you know, for, that we would have to repay the county, because, you know, then we will have received it twice. So there may be some payments that we have to send back, but this is where we are at this time. So our total account balance is just under 5 million.
Perfect. Okay. Any questions? We'll look out for that. So I have a question. How do we know that? What's the mechanism to know that you received that? Like the first time I get
That's a
comes
fair
in like
question,
this.
my presumption is that if we get any more tax payments from any of the 4 communities since that payment from the county, then that would be a duplicate payment, and I would reach out to them, or the treasurer would reach out to them to find out.
So we would, anything that seemed out of the ordinary, we would just question back and.
Right, I guess I wouldn't expect to get any more at this time from any of the communities, and if we do, then that would be, I mean, that's how my mind has
Okay.
come to it. I guess I need to confirm, again, I would double check.
Yeah, because it would be an in and out, but there is that possibility in the future that delinquent taxes that are paid never get figured out, and we may owe back the county that money. So the county doesn't eat it if it's a net loss. So that's something in the way in the future. So we'll just have to watch that in the future.
I'm just interested in what are the triggers that we're looking for
Yeah.
that would constitute that repayment. And
There's many businesses that do not pay their taxes on time every year. They wait till 3 years and then they pay them, so.
your historical wisdom, Tom, always astounds me. Thank you for clarifying
And that
that.
happens in
A lot.
more than one city.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. So, but so they are not going to eat it, so to speak. I wonder how long it will take before the reconciliation is
Well,
taken
you
care of.
have, before it goes to tax sale, 3 or 4, I think it's 3 or 4 years, so it'll be way out there after I'm off this board, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I will seek a motion for approval of the May 13th and May 27th finance and budget report.
So move.
It's been moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion.
Or accepting them.
Accepting them.
Accept them until further audit, as the wording is.
So all of those in favor of the acceptance,
I,
signify by saying aye. Great. All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you for saying that.
All right. Perfect. All right, let's move on to public hearings and subsequent board action. Is there any? Okay. We're moving right along here. Unfinished business. Okay, I know we have some Albion BC Go expansion update. Which makes Vivian extremely happy. Please, yes. Please.
They're both looking at each other. Who's gonna talk here?
There was pre-discussion and there's been a game plan formulated. So we invite Christy from Battle Creek City Transit, one of our technical advisors, to the podium.
Okay, so for BC Go, it is live in the platform. We are currently booking for Monday, June 2nd. Again, that service is going to run from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the city of Albion. This is 4 trips that are with the origin and destination in the city of Albion. I did attend the Senior Expo, the Calhoun County Senior Expo this weekend, or this last week. And we did have a lot of people with interest from Albion in that service. So I had created a little flyer that I was handing out to them to let them know that BC Go has always been there, but this is going to be their first chance to have a dedicated vehicle for the city of Albion. So that way they don't have to compete with some of the larger populated cities for the demand of that service. So they were pretty excited. All the information that I was sharing definitely was well received at the expo. So I want to make sure we're getting that information out to community members. Anyone who has questions or needs help with the app, please direct them to me. I'd be happy to meet with them over the phone, get it downloaded, walk them through booking their first trip, or even make time to go out in the community and help assist them where that is needed as well. So please pass my information on. We are booking 2 weeks out, so I think today opens up the 9th, yes, for booking. So that June 2nd is already there, and then we're opening for June 9th as of today. So please spread the word so we can get those trips booked. Okay, whether there's trips or not, it is important to know BC Go will be in the area next week. So whether there's a booking or not, the vehicle is stationed in Albion, and the driver will be instructed to drive around the community and develop exposure that way, because they will see on the window that it says need a ride with the phone number, how to download the app, things like that. So do know you will see the vehicle no matter what next week. Okay?
Do you know where, excuse me, Mr. President, do you know where it will be located?
It'll commute throughout the city. While it doesn't have any bookings on the screen, as long as it stays within the city of Albion, it'll just kind of drive around. Drivers get a notice 30 minutes before their next scheduled pickup of when the pickup is going to arrive and where it is at. So they know to stay within that area, but we'll just have them continue to move it, get miles, get exposure that way, instead of just being parked in one dedicated area. We'll tell them if you don't see bookings on your screen, please drive throughout the city.
Okay.
Okay? There isn't like an exact point, if that's what you're asking.
Mhm.
So they don't have it. I use the starting address for service as the Albion City Hall. So that's kind of where it knows the vehicle will be located there for the first booking.
Okay.
The lunch breaks for the service are Marshall. So the vehicle will have time to come back here to the Marshall Dial-A-Ride facility for the driver to be able to take lunch. And then as soon as their lunch completes, they will head back to Albion.
Can't eat in Albion?
We're just kind of give them a facility. So drivers need a break room. They need access to bathrooms. We're trying to make it convenient for our drivers. And right now we do not have a facility for them to use in Albion. So we did that. We can always make changes to it in the future.
Okay.
And the
Let's-
drivers may eat there. If they
Oh.
choose not to come back to Marshall, that's their choice.
Yeah,
They know that they can stay in that area, eat there, go to a park, whatever it is that they want to do. And they just have to be back for their next scheduled pickup.
right. Yeah, let's talk. Okay.
Vivian, our commitment was to provide transportation, not eatery options. Okay, as long as the mobility standards met, okay, I can't control where
Yeah,
the employees eat.
I'll give them some options.
There you go. And just to make sure everybody else knows too, even though this is a dedicated vehicle in the city of Albion, service is available from the rest of the county to Albion. Like we currently service Albion right now with our BC Go service. I know there's a gentleman in Battle Creek that comes to Albion to go to college, and we frequently book his trips. So if it's someone going from Albion to Marshall or Albion to Battle Creek, they still have access. They're still booking on the exact same platform. It's just going to match the vehicle based on where they're traveling. Okay?
Thank you.
We had a chance to talk at the Senior Expo, so I just wanted to bring it up here. The BC Go pilots ends September 30th.
Mhm.
What is the plan from BC Transit, BC Go, to inform those people that's going to change? How and when are you going to start doing that?
So I will think that will be part of our marketing outreach that we would reach to the company with, is how to transition that service. So we want the community to know that BC Go was a pilot, right? It was here to collect the data, to find out what the demand was in our county. And the data that we collected from there is what led to us getting this countywide transit authority and supporting what the ridership and the demand was in each of our cities. So I think it's really important that we show that BC Go isn't technically going away. BC Go is growing and phasing into what we will know as RC Flex. Okay, so they'll be rebranding, like you'll see, especially as TACC becomes a dedicated recipient for funding in October, like that's the perfect time, right? Because October 1, TACC should be receiving the state and federal dollars. BC Go wouldn't be receiving that state funding anymore through the city. So that would be the perfect time for us to start communicating on our platform, start communicating through the app. There's little things that we can do with transitioning the color of the app internally, not the actual picture on your mobile phone. But we can change the color inside the app with some banners. You can drop a RC logo inside of the app so that they're seeing BC Go became RC. Like there's ways that we can do that internally through our app provider as well. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah. No other question, but I think from here, thank you for the updates. And what I'll do is contact each of, at least the senior providers to ask them what, with this, to ask them what do they need? And then I will contact you. I would like to see something in, the e-news and things like that, more publications, and to hand out to churches and organizations and things like that as well. But we can talk about that maybe after our meeting today.
Yeah, and I do have that file, so if you wanted me to send it to you, so you had ability to print and hand
Oh,
out some
okay.
additional ones, I definitely can do that.
Okay.
And yeah, just get people in touch with me. If
Okay.
they're not comfortable with using the smartphone, remember, all they have to do is call our Battle Creek Transit Dispatch.
Okay.
The number is on there and they just say, I'm booking a ride with BC Go. They don't
Okay.
have to say it's the Albion service. They don't have to say anything special. It's just booking a ride with BC Go.
Mhm.
And the vehicle's gonna match based on the origin and destination.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Vivian, what about letting the housing commission know?
Right.
Because I know a lot of people there don't have cars, and
I know.
that would be
Yeah.
another that they will now, because community action, wouldn't pick them up because they're
Right.
underage.
I was thinking of, and that's Ann Kemp. I was just going through her mind as she was talking, people that I can reach out to, or even drop by their office or send it electronically. This is what is happening, because even BC Go is going to be foreign to some people. So
Mhm.
they, the change in terminology may be a hindrance if they are not familiar with BC Go. So we'll do some legwork and let you know.
Thank you.
No, I got a question real quick.
Okay.
Don't escape me too soon. Vivian, maybe you can support the process too in pondering on maybe 4 or 5 hotspot locations in Albion
Mhm.
where the vehicle could peruse early.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Oh,
I would
definitely.
assume that the driver may not know and just driving around, but past the
Mhm.
senior center, past the
Housing
housing
complex.
commission, past
Yeah.
the hotel, um,
The
and
college.
maybe make some key point
Nobody's
rounds,
there.
make sure you hit here in your travels or something along
Mhm.
those lines
Okay.
for not just density, but we want the community to see that it's there
Right.
and that it's available. My question is about the 2-week time frame, and I'm kind of asking inquisitively. That's based on the number of vehicles we have in stock and ready to go right now, right?
How our service opens up is so on the platform, all of a sudden the vehicles that are loaded in the platform, they will reload like 2 weeks out with their scheduled shifts. We have the ability as we move forward to decide which vehicles preload 2 weeks out and which vehicles we add on for like same day service. So once we know like ridership, demand, things like that, we can decide how many vehicles are opening up for pre-scheduling and how many
Yeah.
vehicles are we keeping for same day scheduling. So we have the ability to customize that as we move forward.
Or where the majority of the folks that have a set schedule would be used to that 2-week,
Mhm.
whatever time period. And then the more assets that enter, we may be able to put more in the moment services together and what have you. And that's how and the general public wouldn't necessarily see that. They would just know they've been accommodated.
Right. They
Versus-
just start to see more requests getting fulfilled
Yeah.
because the service is expanding.
Because the previous scenario is we only had 2 vehicles on the road. We could, once the bookings happen, and then that had to free up and that runway became very long. So there's a good mechanism for that.
Yeah. Right now, we have 4 for countywide that are loading 2 weeks in advance. We're usually putting out 1 for same day service countywide. So there's 5 vehicles that run throughout the county. And then now we'll have the 1 vehicle in Albion. So there will be 6 vehicles operating on that platform.
Perfect.
Can the driver be flagged down for a ride?
They can't be necessarily like flagged down. If it's stopped and he's sitting, the driver could always, that person could approach the vehicle, the driver's gonna talk to them, and we could tell them how to have that person schedule the trip, whether walk them through their app or have them call dispatch while you're right there. If they don't have any trips, there's no reason why we couldn't help them with that. It would just be some coaching that we need to have with the driver before it launches next week.
So if it turns out to be, all of a sudden starts raining and the van is sitting in the family fair parking lot and somebody comes out, could they get a ride at that point? If they're available?
It's available, and I wouldn't even base it by the location of the vehicle, like being in the parking lot. I would just spread the word as if you have an emergency trip, call our dispatch number and they'll book you. So as long as they're requesting within 5 minutes from the time that it is right now, it can book a trip. So if the vehicle is stationary and they're asking it's 10:30 and they want a trip at 10:35, it should match them.
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. Board accounting service update. It's an RFP policy, right?
So we received one response after having it posted. And then the deadline extended, so it was posted once for 2 weeks, didn't get anything. We reposted it. 2 weeks, didn't get anything, extended the deadline for another 2 weeks, and then we did receive one response. So we're working through what to do in that situation. With as far as like FTA is, concerned, it's one response. I think there's certain things that you have to do in order to
That's
make
right.
that acceptable or, to work. And so that's what we're doing.
So watch this. I have a technical question. Oh, Mallory, how are you? Based on the conversation that we just had about what the federal requirements are and the RFP process and what have you, and we've posted and extended and what have you. What's the protocol for next steps relative to the RFP process that would normally meet the federal requirement?
So Amy and I went back and forth a little bit over the weekend. Doing some research, it looks like we can move forward. We need to document how long the solicitation, just like we normally do, how long the solicitation was posted. We need to demonstrate that it wasn't overly restrictive, and that's why people didn't bid on it. If there are vendors that we specifically, not just posting it, online and in ads, but if there are vendors we specifically sent it to, we can reach out to those vendors, ask them why they didn't respond. As long as there's nothing that indicates it was because our proposal was overly restrictive or inaccessible or had requirements that couldn't be met, then we should be able to move forward with what's called a sole source procurement.
Who determines overly restricted? That seems very subjective.
Welcome to FTA. So we determine, we all make the determination.
Board.
So staff would typically do it, yeah.
Mhm.
So we determine and document our reason for making that decision. Every 3 years, FTA comes and audits us in what's called a triennial review. And then they will review all of our stuff and either agree with our decision or disagree with our decision.
Follow-up question. What happens if they disagree? What's that process
Could
look like?
determine that the expense was ineligible,
They slap your
Oh,
hand.
and not reimburse that expense.
correct?
Oh, and that
Or
would be-
require you to repay that, yeah.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
this is where, anytime we're making a large purchase, like a vehicle, for example, we want to make sure that we have followed all of the federal requirements, that our specification is in order, all of our documentation is in order. We have all the signatures in the right places with the right dates,
Mhm.
because they could determine that that expense was not eligible and you could have to pay that back.
Hmm.
Or you could become ineligible for future funding.
It's even worse. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. But I understand. Any other questions? Any other technical questions?
Why is this RFP different from previous RFPs in terms of requesting services? No, okay.
No, not that I'm aware of. I really don't know. We even posted it on the MPTA website. It was public, and it was public for 4 weeks consecutively.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's just not a firm looking to take this on right now. Most places handle these things internally, so not sure. I wouldn't want to speculate why, but
Okay,
I believe that there was nothing restrictive about the RFP that would prevent us from moving forward.
okay.
So to the committee, will we have a recommendation at our next meeting?
I'd like to think so.
I would think so. So there isn't really, there isn't really anything to score if there's only one. My recommendation would be that the committee meet and review the proposal, ensure that it's fully responsive, that it responds to all of the requests that were in the RFP. And as long as it meets the responsiveness, then you would be fine to award.
Should the committee also review and just firm up who, if we sent those out prior, the notices, who we sent those to and what have you, and possibly do a little bit of follow-up work after it closes so we can answer those questions before they become a thing?
Yeah. Yep. If there was anybody that it was sent to directly.
I didn't, so earlier I said it was sent out or it was posted once for 2 weeks
Yes.
and then there weren't any responses. And I didn't send that one. Then the second time it got posted, that's when I was more involved and I didn't send it to anybody in particular. It only went on to rodecalhoun.org and to MPTA's website. So if we were going to reach out, it would have to be back to the very first time and find out who it was sent to then, because I don't know.
We could do that.
Okay,
It might be worth the documentation.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Okay, thank you. All right, great. Moving on to new business. Nominations and election of board treasurer.
Amy's smiling, you better go to her.
Maybe we should table this till the next meeting. Okay, so we know that little bit of background that with the unfortunate passing of Linda Morrison, who was our former board treasurer. Amy graciously accepted to be acting board treasurer for a period of time, and now that time has come. Ms. Williams, our new county appointed teammate, if you will, has shown interest in being elected the board treasurer. So I think that I would like to ask Ms. Williams if she is still interested in such a position and during a handoff time. And I see her enthusiasm. Noted as matter of record. But Ms. Williams, if you wouldn't mind commenting on that piece, and then we'll.
Yes, I am still interested in that
Okay.
position.
Okay, that would appear to be an affirmative and met with enthusiasm by Ms. Evans for obvious reasons. But can I entertain a motion to appoint Ms. Williams to be the board treasurer?
So moved?
Okay, it's
Support.
been moved and supported. Any other discussions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, perfect.
Can I be sad though? I'm not excited because of anything related to this work. It's just
Yeah.
because of something I'm working on outside of this. So
That's okay.
I just want you to know that.
Your position was temporary.
Yes.
And
Yes.
although that may be true, you've been hounding me for 2 months.
February. We're almost in June.
A little over schedule and what have you. But no, Amy, I appreciate you taking that on and what have you. What I would like to ask is that you two continue to work together with that handoff and the nuances. You have a great understanding of municipal finance and what have you. And I know that Ms. Williams' background has been treasurer for a variety of grassroots organizations and what have you. But there may be some questions about the nuances of the municipal finance piece in terms of how these taxes are flowing in and what have you. But you all have done a good job of establishing a great relationship and doing that. So I feel encouraged that that activity will take place.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to TAC policy development. Are there any pieces on that? Oh, yeah.
So at the previous meeting, Miller Johnson had suggested that the TAC Board review and revise the FOIA policy and consider naming Miller Johnson as the contact for FOIA so that they would handle all of the FOIA requests of the TAC moving forward. So my recommendation to you guys today would be to make the recommendation for that change or assign that task and have the FOIA policy updated and adopted at the next meeting.
So with that, just for clarification, because that was some discussion too, would that also cover like them having input on the frequently asked questions that get published or what have you? Or are we just talking about strict FOIA requests?
Just strict FOIA requests. So to date, we've had one FOIA responded to that within the timeline. But without staff, it makes it difficult for the TAC to respond. And in the meantime, Miller Johnson can act in that capacity. The other thing that the board needs to consider is charges for FOIA. So particularly with the attorneys handling FOIA requests, those expenses, depending on how many FOIAs you get, the board will need to determine if you will charge people for FOIA requests, which you're allowed to do, or if not.
Okay. So two things on the table. I'll take one at a time. The first piece is the appetite for Miller Johnson, our contracted attorneys, to handle the influx of FOIA requests on our behalf for the Transportation Authority of Calhoun County. I would need a motion to go ahead and make that a policy and approve that, for that action to take place.
Also move.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Tarkowitz. Any?
Support.
Okay, and it's been supported by the treasurer, Ms. Williams. Any other discussion? Yeah, Commissioner.
I definitely think that we should charge for the FOIA policy. I think that we should look at some policies that already exist and what they are charging so that we can kind of stay in line with, I guess, the norm for it. But I definitely think that we need to charge so that we can, accommodate having Miller Johnson take care of it.
So hold that thought, because that's my second piece.
Oh, my bad.
That I'm gonna come to. No. That's why I separated those, because I think that's equally important, and there's a process to that you've kind of almost articulated. But any other about the policy? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and do that piece. To your point, Commissioner, my key point was maybe coming back to Miller Johnson and them giving us a runway of variable costs that they would charge for FOIA requests. And then we can look at what's a reasonable rate of other entities and balance that with the rate that we're being incurred for that said request. And because I would only imagine that depending on the amount of information requested, that timing may be it changes. So, Tom, if you and I were pretty much the Miller Johnson liaison, maybe we can get with Lee and answer some of those questions, and then.
And I have some of that information I can forward to you as well. So they did give us a price breakdown in response to the first FOIA. And had we charged the person who FOIA'd, it would have recovered roughly 25% of the actual cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But before you get, and that's where I want to have a conversation about what's the basis of the charge for that 25%? Why couldn't it be 100% or 90% or 50%? I mean, how do we gauge what that rate would be? Is it per hour rate? Is it a flat fee? I mean, those are things that I want to maybe have that conversation to understand that, because if we're publishing that, it better be very specific. And that gives the requester of the FOIA pause for, this is what it costs.
That's right.
You get what I'm, and it's based on something. I'll
And
come back to you, Tom.
sorry, understanding all of that, I do think it is important for us to make sure that it is accessible and affordable
Yeah.
for people, because we don't want to discourage people from doing the FOIA process because it costs too much.
Right. I mean, there's the other side of that coin, right? We're stewards of taxpayer dollars. We want to get this done properly, and we want to make sure we're allocating the right resources in an equitable way. But costs are costs, and making sure that we respond properly is important as well.
Law does cap what you can charge. It's the lowest paid person basically capable of completing the task. So we can't bill the person who FOIA'd for what we pay Miller Johnson. That's where that cap came in on why we would have only recovered about 25%.
Okay, that's an important detail.
Yes.
I will ask Miller Johnson to review our FOIA policy, any recommended amendments, and propose a cost schedule.
Range, yeah. Maybe we need to be negotiating our FOIA, our FOIA services expenses. Okay.
Lee or Rich that will be doing the research, it will be one of their staff members.
100%. Okay,
We'll see when it would be on our agenda to return, so I will do that.
perfect. Okay, so the TACC Executive Director position. I know that our friends at Miller Johnson and have had some weigh in on that piece. Can I get a little bit of technical assistance? Next steps for this piece, in terms of the discussion that has been had with the city of Battle Creek and what have you. From your perspective, can you give us a little update and try and be as agnostic as possible?
Yeah. Yeah. So, we heard even at the last meeting, the Miller Johnson is suggesting there be an administrative agreement between the city of Battle Creek and the TACC that authorizes me to act on behalf of the TACC as a in-between. So it's a shared executive services agreement. We meet with the city of Battle Creek this week, the 29th. Is that tomorrow?
Yeah. 29.
To discuss that among other things, and then establish an agreement that allows the TACC to start directing staff to do staff work. There's a lot of moving pieces that are happening behind the scenes that we're trying to keep moving and make sure, and giving me the authority to be able to keep those things moving. I'll give an example as directing the attorneys or working with the attorneys to provide documentation and historical information, ensuring that I have access to those things to keep this moving is the intent of the administrative agreement.
In a fair and impartial way.
Yes.
We would pretty much be sharing your time in
Correct.
terms of move forward, which makes the most sense. Is there something formal that we should do to prior to that, or let's see what happens on Thursday?
Yeah, I think the attorneys are already talking
Yeah.
with each other at both from the TACC side and the city of Battle Creek side. I think we'll have more answers after the meeting on the 29th.
I just answered my own question. You helped me think through it. So we don't have an agreement in front of us to vote on.
Correct.
So, having those two attorneys get together, and we've already put in our formal requests, based on how we want that to look. It seems like it's headed the right direction. They'll formalize that and probably come back to this body at our next meeting with a request that says, we would like to do X, Y, and Z, and this is what this means, and this is what the cost structure is. Did I summarize that?
Mhm.
Okay,
And I
great.
think just for understanding for the board and the public on why the TAC isn't or hasn't directly hired an executive director yet is, you're not ready to. So we're focusing right now, the TAC is focusing on the structural things that need to happen, becoming the designated recipient, working with FTA and MDOT to ensure all of that transition goes smoothly. But then the other things that, that's time consuming that aren't getting worked on are things like pension benefits, everything down to IT structure and framework, right? The TAC isn't ready to directly employ staff yet, but through shared services agreements, that's.
And let me qualify, not ready. Not ready doesn't, is it mean incompetent? Not ready means there's an order in which these things should be done to put together a proper organization. Having the right accounting services, marketing, technical pieces, and what have you, all go into building a proper organization. So having staff, we have to cross that bridge, and now is the time to do that. And how we chose to do that is sharing staff of experts with Battle Creek City Transit to create continuity in terms of where we're going in the future. So that once the designated recipient status is granted in the proper time, we can take advantage of a smooth transition between the complicated situations with people, assets, property, what have you, going forward. So I just wanted, for the general public knowledge, it's not like we're confused, not ready. We are in the process of putting things in order to create a smooth transition in the most equitable, efficient way for all the municipalities, if that makes sense. Just wanted to qualify that, because if you're reading that,
Yep.
it
We're
sounds
not
a
at
little
that
different.
step yet.
Yes. All right. Vivian, did you have a question?
Well, I think you answered it because I was just thinking for the public, what did the request say? But I think you've answered it in terms of sharing of services and support systems and things like
Yeah,
that.
and I'll qualify that, because it's an active conversation with the attorneys. We came to the point of, as we put the structure together, it's beneficial, and it could be kind of awkward to have, and we called it technical assistance up to this point. If you remember, when we first got started, that was some discussion with the city of Battle Creek in terms of how would employees of Battle Creek City Transit
Mhm,
support the TAC,
Mhm.
although the city supported the tax development
mhm,
and what have you.
mhm.
Once things get moving and the TAC has certain authority, especially after millage passing over certain aspects of transit, what role do the technical assistant people play? So now we need to have a more formal agreement because we're talking about more substantive things and what have you. And as we get closer to October,
Mhm.
it's going to become even more substantive. So I'm happy to make that leap and utilize the resources in the proper way where everybody has the same understanding moving forward as we transition for this community. Good?
Yep.
All right. Having said that, we'll move on. Keep in mind, we've moved D down to the bottom. Any public comments? And non-agenda items. All right. Board comments, communications to the board? Anything? Tom had a fabulous time at the Senior Expo.
You there?
Well, I was in the building. Okay, I was in the building and could not get away from the meeting I was in, but I ran across several enthusiastic seniors in the parking lot. And I'll just say, every year that group astounds me, that if they ferret out those that aren't seniors, you better get out of the way. So, you know, they are filled with wisdom and functionality, but I heard it was a great expo.
Yeah, I was giving donuts and coffee. That was my job, so. But two things. First question is, are we closer to a date for a June work session? I know a doodle was put out. Didn't know if
I haven't had a chance to review this morning. As of Sunday, not everybody had responded to the doodle poll yet. So but I haven't had a chance to check it this morning yet. Once everybody responds to the doodle poll, or probably Wednesday, Thursday, I'll finalize a date with the consultants and then send out a meeting invite.
That the doodle polls snuck in amongst other things.
I did see that,
Okay,
yes.
and that is a thing. So check your doodle poll this afternoon. Let's finish that up and
Check your
Gotta go
email
from
for
there.
it.
I know one
Yeah.
already has gone away for me, but so I just wanted to get this locked in, tell other people no. The other thing I want to compliment, please take it back. I met one of your drivers at the expo. I was 20 feet from my car and he offered me a ride. Because we had to park offsite and Charles, and very excited what he's doing, and he gave me a little bit of his history, and we talked for 10 minutes or so because it was gearing down, but he was just a very enthusiastic driver, so.
Yeah.
He's brand new. That was his second day solo. So
Hi.
Well, it's good to see that level of excitement. That's what we've been talking about, and having folks, because that improves the ride experience. And even though you didn't get a ride, you had
Yeah,
a
he
great
didn't know who I
experience.
was, so I
Yeah.
just, until I told him.
Tom,
Thank you.
You know, he may not have known who you were on his second day out, but these drivers are pretty. They see a lot more than you think. So I swear, there's a picture of me in every vehicle, and they see me. Yeah. I don't know what that means, Tom, but I'll take it as a yes. Yeah, please don't leave. The legislative authority update.
So legislative update, the only, there, again, the same as I said last time, a lot of moving pieces. Good news is that our congressionally directed spending from Senator Peters has been executed, which means it is fully in the grant. We got the notice to execute the award this morning, which means all parties have signed off on it. That's the 1.5 million, which is, earmarked for essentially all of the transitional things, rebranding, some additional marketing, upgrading licenses to be able to expand services. So that's kind of a relief that nothing got clawed back there. And then we are working through a grant application right now for a facility. So it is 5339 bus and bus facilities program. It's also a low and no emissions bus program. We are not applying for vehicles in that grant. We're applying for a facility. So you may see a request from us for a letter of support as we put that application together. It's due in just
Having said that, if that's due in just a few weeks, how does this body feel about kind of a preemptive consensus on providing support for that letter of support for me to
Yes,
sign that?
absolutely.
And we kind of go from there. That's a lot of
Great.
head nods.
Yes.
I don't see any dissension. So we'll go ahead and make that happen. We don't have to come back here for that, if you know what I mean. Any questions about legislative pieces or any other communications with the board?
the
Okay.
only other thing I'll share is that we reached a tentative agreement with ATU. Eric is here. So we've completed negotiations. The contract will go before the city commission on the 3rd next week. And I don't anticipate there being any reason why the commission wouldn't approve that, giving ATU a 1-year extension to their contract expiring June 30 of 2026 to get us through this transition period.
Are any other contracts up this year?
Fire, the city had negotiated most contracts last year.
That's
All right.
exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
That I've been wondering how
Yeah.
it's going.
Yep. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Hey,
All right.
Right.
good to know.
BCATs. Jeff, you got something for us? Columbia Road debacle.
The Columbia Road.
When is? Oh, why don't we just make that the top of your presentation? Matt and I are very concerned.
I did come prepared with notes on road work that's local to the area, but I'll get to that second. Battle Creek Area Transportation Study. I'm the Executive Director, Jeff Franklin. Good to be here as always. Very important policy committee meeting tomorrow. That's the MPO body. We're looking to have our BCAT's public participation plan update approved, as well as our fiscal year 26 work program approved, as well as our next 4-year 26 through 29 transportation improvement program project list and document approved. The same update as was given previously, except we're a heck of a lot closer to that deadline, so it's a good thing. We'll look to draft a BCAT's letter of support. 5339 application for the facility stuff. Our fiscal year 26 GWP includes a long list that discusses your TACC $1.5 million congressionally directed spending. So I have all of that. We were one of the steps to get out of FTA's way. So just want to put that down as that's something of interest for you guys within our fiscal year 26 work program. And then what you really want to hear about is all of the various road updates. So the ongoing ones, M96 over I-194, the Columbia Avenue Bridge will continue. That project will go on all summer long. It's a major bridge rehabilitation, including a lot of the underside. They're rebuilding a portion of the substructure. Doesn't end until October 17th. The M311 bridge has been reopened. That was just a 2-week minor rehab of that bridge. It's due for complete replacement reconstruction here once the
People that don't know what M311 is.
11-mile road, the 11-mile road bridge over I-194. So at the pilot gas station, the casino exit.
Yeah.
That bridge was closed for the 2 weeks before Memorial Day to do a minor bridge update. Essentially, MDOT was hoping to hold it together until it gets completely replaced here in 2 years. And then Michigan Avenue from Waddles Road west to the Amtrak Railroad, that is currently being resurfaced. That's a summer project. It should be over by August 29th. New things that might be of interest is M60 between Burlington and Homer is also going to be resurfaced. That project starts today and goes through the summer, August 29th. The Turkeyville rest area on southbound I-69 will be closed all summer long. That one's an interesting one for people that travel that because that's a very highly used rest area. They're replacing the lagoons. So if any of your folks ask you why it looks like there's no work going on the front and there's nothing being done to the facility or the parking lots or the exit itself, it's because MDOT has been on Eagle's bad list for a number of years for the lagoons being old and leaking into nearby structures. They're replacing those finally. That the rest area should reopen October 31st. What you call a lagoon, is that like a retention pond?
Yes, correct.
That's a.
Yep. The sewage retention ponds behind the facility.
Their sewage treatment is a lagoon system.
Okay.
I don't begin to know how that works, other than behind that rest area, there are a series of large ponds that treat the sewage on site, and they are lackluster according to the Department of Eagle, Energy, Great Lakes, and Environment.
Wow. Okay.
And then local stuff that's within the BCATS area, City of Battle Creek is currently resurfacing Ridgemore Goodale between Roosevelt West all the way to M89 Michigan Avenue. That's ongoing. 20th Street, so there's two two major projects on 20th Street right now that has it shut down between Michigan and Avenue A. The first one is the city of Battle Creek has BCAT's funds to replace the 20th Street Bridge over the Kalamazoo River. And the second part is the city of Springfield is doing a water main update that will affect all of 20th Street between Avenue A and Michigan Avenue, Jackson. They're at the end of the city of Springfield, city of Battle Creek line is actually not at a road. It's just kind of an imaginary point
It's a
south of
strange
Jackson.
place, yes.
And then the city of Springfield will also do that same water main replacement project. Once 20th Street's reopened, they mean to do Avenue A between the east city limit and 20th Street, maybe even beyond all the way to Helmer. But I'll monitor that and come back to you. Both of the county's BCATS projects are going to start as soon as school is let up, and they'll likely affect people. B Drive North is going to be resurfaced from 6.5 Mile Road just east of Meyer all the way to Beetle Lake Road in front of Harper Creek School District. So look for that. It will be traffic impactful, but the road will still be open with flag control. But that's a resurfacing project. And then less obtrusive is Struan Road between White Rabbit Road and Baseline. If you're up in Penfield Township, that will also be resurfaced this summer. Both of those are summer county projects and should be wrapped up before school starts again. That's all for road work.
Well, thank you.
Any
Well, good
questions for
stuff.
me about anything BCATS?
Nope. No Riverside Drive, Matt. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other business director comments or what have you?
The only thing, and I know that we're 2 minutes over, I have the new chamber member for Albion, Greater Albion Chamber of Commerce. So this can go in someone's office, now that we're chamber members. And I wish I would have known about the table. I guess I should have known because I was there, I was at the expo. And when I hear you talking about the table, I should have been there too, but.
You can't be in two places. I saw you on one side and she was on the other side.
I could have shared my time, talking about collaboration. I could have shared my time. No, but good. And we are very excited and looking forward to June 2nd.
Thank you, Vivian. Vivian, you had 3 tables to be at already.
It was only 2.
Okay. What we'll do is, Tom, you want to help me out with the?
We don't have to do anything. We just can move downstairs. Matt's gonna switch between here and downstairs, I believe, or however you're gonna do that. So yeah, how about a 5-minute recess and then we'll start up again.
We're talking in reference to item D that was moved, the strategic planning and marketing work session that will be entertaining in the downstairs forum in the training area. And then based on conclusion of that meeting, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
Sounds good. Thank you.